A nation that once built cathedrals to learning is now squabbling over which of them to quietly demolish. That, in essence, is where we are with Britain's higher education. Overbuilt, overpromised, underfunded, and ill-focused. And the question, the uncomfortable truth behind our bloated university system is why is it failing, and whether we have too many universities, and whether we need to revisit the lost distinction between universities and polytechnics, a distinction that, though once dismissed as elitist, was in fact functional, pragmatic, and economically coherent. The rot set in with the tripling of tuition fees under the coalition government, and the Lib Dems were politically sacrificed. The Treasury got the cuts it wanted without ever designing a suitable, sustainable model in return. Fees were frozen, inflation galloped, and universities were told to do more with less, the great neoliberal mantra. In response, most universities chased international students to plug the gap. This worked until post-Brexit and post-COVID, the government began attacking the very foreign students that were keeping the sector alive. Nothing surprising in that, because Mrs May had already signalled that's exactly what the Home Office was going to do anyway, Brexit or no Brexit. A 38% drop in international postgraduate enrolments in Essex, for example, looming deficits in UEA, Kent, York and others, and what PwC now calls an inevitable loss of provision. Yet ministers, especially from Blue Labour, now accuse universities of waste, of moral drift, of churning out too many email job graduates. The irony is staggering. Universities are condemned for being both too expensive and too reliant on foreign money, a textbook case of being beaten with both ends of the same stick. So we have to speak frankly. The mass rebranding of polytechnics into universities under John Major's government in 1992 was not merely cosmetic, it was ideological. It was part of the utopian belief that everyone should go to university and that all universities should be academically indistinguishable. That philosophy was noble but naive. A system that once prized difference, universities for research and theory, polytechnics for applied knowledge and technical training, now prizes only uniformity. The result? Media degrees where there should have been mechanics workshops, underfunded nursing courses trying to meet Russell Group research targets, and a generation of students entering £30,000 of debt to discover that they are, as Andy Twelves bluntly puts it, overqualified and underemployed. We were told that polytechnic status was a stigma. In truth, it was a mission. And losing it, we lost something profound. The idea that different forms of education might serve different kinds of intellect and aspiration, and that not all success needs to be certified with Latin and gowns. Yet even the most maligned universities are often local lifelines. To let them fail, to let any university, to let any institution of that size fail, would be economically masochistic. As Professor Rob Ford puts it, a university is a town's steel mill. Take away the university from Lincoln, from Aberystwyth or Sunderland, and you don't merely lose lecturers, you lose cleaners, cooks, landlords, bus routes, cafes, concerts, and a reason for youth to stay. And universities in Britain are a great soft power export. They bring in billions. They attract global talent and train the professionals who run our NHS and our schools. They're more than cultural battlegrounds for Tory columnists or graduate factories for sceptical think tanks. They're part of the country's competitive advantage. Even so, some Labour MPs now speak with astonishing insouciance. Jonathan Hinder, for example, said he would not be disappointed if some universities collapsed. Dan Carden suggested closing half outright. These are MPs whose own political survival depends on the very places they're willing to sacrifice. One wonders if they've even looked at a constituency jobs map. And here lies the real question. How many universities we need and what they're for? Tony Blair said 50% of young people should go to university. That goal was achieved, but did it actually serve the young people in question? Or was it a bureaucratic ambition with no thought for outcomes, mismatched to a job market increasingly shaped by automation, underemployment and credential inflation? There's dignity in trades. There's skill in scaffolding, precision in plumbing, intelligence in engineering outside lecture halls, yet our school system funnels children towards university with a kind of conveyor belt inevitability of something by Ford. Yet the alternative remains underfunded, undervalued, underexplained. And then we've got the CV nonsense. I was looking the other day at a very interesting case where a good employer can work out what they want by getting applicants to do a little course. They complete the course. They don't even need to look at a CV. The answer is not to punish universities. The answer is not necessarily even to force people to go to universities, nor is it to romanticize a past of manual work untouched by complexity. The answer is to restore diversity of pathways, apprenticeships, polytechnics, universities, even if we don't call them that, to rebuild vocational colleges, to be regional again, regional technical institutes. Let universities do what they were once meant to do, to provide rigorous, research-informed, intellectually ambitious education for those who choose it, for what it is, not merely for what it promises to lead to. Universities are defined not by how many people they teach, but the quality of their research. If they're not doing research, they're not universities, and they're not actually helping to move academic discourse forward. They're simply schools in another form. Britain doesn't have too many universities, has too many institutions pretended to be something that they were never meant to be, and too few doing what they do best. If we want a nation of skilled, adaptable, and socially mobile citizens, then we must stop pretending that the solution is to shut down universities we don't like or punish them for recruiting international students. There is no such thing as a Mickey Mouse degree. What there is a degree that doesn't teach students how to think clearly and how to articulate those ideas. You could do a degree in knitting is as valuable as a degree in Greek literature, providing both are teaching a way to analyze sources and to look at complexity and provide a simple analysis. Simplicity is what we're looking for, not complex. Not complex. We don't need to show off with the long words that we're using. We need to be able to explain things in an interesting, perhaps even in an entertaining way, but explain complexity that is comprehensible. And if we can't do this, then we're failing. We need to redesign the ecosystem, restore the polytechnics, I think, revive the apprenticeships, decouple prestige from paperwork, and recenter purpose. Because a university without telos, without a goal, without an end, is not an engine of mobility or excellence. It's an expensive illusion. And the telos, the end of a university, is research. And we cannot afford illusions any longer.